Okay. I'm grabbing a drink now. We know you're here. Zoran says, and again I'm early. Oh yeah. You came like almost 20 minutes early. Um, be right back. Hello everybody. Hello Dart. Hello Beck. Good evening. Good evening Olga Katani. Good evening Ice Blade. Good evening YouTube and good evening Twitch. Now let me double check if all of the mentioned streaming services are actually broadcasting anything. I mean, double checking is always good, right? View your channel. It says that I'm live on YouTube, so I'm gonna leave that as a fact. Let's go to Twitch and see if I'm live over there. It looks like I am. Okay. Pop out Twitch chat. Okay. Hey there, Zoran. Thank you very much for that. Member for 4 months. Like a champ. How do I pop up YouTube? Oh, there we go. Okay. Okie dokie, guys. I think we are good to go. My web browser is ready in case I need to browse anything on the web. Okay, and there is the console for that. Zoran is asking, are you okay? I'm fine. What do you ask? I did sleep a little bit, so I could sound like I have been sleeping, if that's what you're asking. It will pass. I mean the voice color. Pointers, arrays. Where were we even? There we go. Let's switch to the big screen. What's wrong with the chat on the stream? There's just one message. That's odd. Battery dead. You want my headphones? So Zoran just asked another question and that did not appear on the stream for whatever reason. Where is that? Not that one. Okay, let's test. Okay, oh, it actually arrived. And from Twitch, that one arrived as well. I don't know what's going on. Why didn't it show Zoran's message? That's strange. That's strange. Let me just check. Zoran says, I see your test. What I'm talking about is this chat below the camera. That one did not show your previous message. It's a bit odd. Let me just configure. I need to, while you guys are gathering up, I need to configure this chat to camera ratio a little bit. I don't know if I want to make the camera smaller or chat a little bit bigger. I think the camera is fine. Let's make the chat bigger. How big is the camera? 852. Let's make chat 852 as well. 852. That's not 852. Oh shit. How much is this minus 151415144 406? Okay, 406 for the chat. This is super strange. This looks like crap. This looks like garbage. Transform, reset. Oh, now it's good. Now it's actually good. Yeah, that's pretty much what I wanted. Those messages are actually a bit too big. He's not streaming yet. Iceblade, you can see the stream and everything is fine technically, right? You're talking about the content hasn't started yet, right? I'm just asking. What's wrong with my web browser? Oh, I see what's wrong. Studio. It says I'm live. Iceblade, can you not see the stream? I don't know what's up. Why don't you guys see the stream? New private window. YouTube. Linux Renaissance. Click on the channel. It says I'm on the channel. I'm live. I have been live on YouTube for 13 minutes. Refresh the browser if you don't see the stream. Yep. Oh, an ad. Yeah, the ad in the beginning of the stream should be normal, but let me check. Yeah, it's set on manual, so it will not run anymore. Just that one on the beginning. Seems if you just stay on the waiting stream, it might not always start on its own. Yeah, that's a weird bug, but unfortunately not something I can do anything about that. Let me close this tab. What if I close this tab? Can I still type in chat? Test. Yeah, that works. Good. Okay. Okay, I'm just setting up the chat looks just a little bit more. So it fits more text and smaller font. Okay, what about now? Now it's okay. Let's have some fun again. Okay. Okay, where is... okay, I see it. So, and this will be the... let's go Mosh to... I got it from the first attempt. Okay, I really need to put a fixed IP address on my LPIC demo machine. So, what is the uptime? 4 days. Okay. Okay, let's catch up with some questions. Okay, Golga Katani has the laptop retired now. Well, as the summer nears its end, it will retire a little bit because during the summer I mostly use my actually I haven't used my desktop PC for weeks, literally for weeks, because it has been so hot and it's located in the room where I don't have any air conditioning, so I just can't be in this room during the day. So that's about my actual main PC. So, and also when I have been on vacation, I could only take my laptop with me. So there is that. There is no other option. And as the summer goes by, I will use the laptop less and less. But the way I use them is when I'm away from my desk, I just use the laptop. When I'm in the living room or when I go outside and use the laptop, I use both, but I use both more during the winter and less during the summer. As I said, it's simply too hot to use my primary PC. I just can't be in this room. So there is that. It's not actually retired. Uh, Anyways, in regards to me fixing the stream has never been broken, so you guys have refreshed it. It's all good now. Gaming Lucifer, I saw you for the first time and I really liked the way you explained. Thank you very much once again. Most of the times I learn for myself and I use that opportunity to explain it once again out loud, both to myself and to everyone else who is willing to listen. So it kind of turns out good because when you have a professional teacher, that's different. But when you have someone who just knows, really knows programming, that person might not be a good fit to act as a teacher because not everyone is capable of transferring the knowledge. And I'm not really saying that I am neither of those two persons. I'm not saying that I'm good at transferring the knowledge to someone who knows less than me. I'm just saying that I am verbally expressing what I'm learning, and that kind of feels like a good knowledge transfer. I would say. I mean, if I just say what I have just learned, this kind of connects me to another person from the other side who is on a similar level as I am right now, and then we can grow together in terms of getting that knowledge up. So I don't know if I explained it well, but it is what it is. Let me check. Yes, after refresh it works. Let's have some fun again. How is the temperature for you today? It's 30. It's 30 right now at 7 p.m. So yeah, it's warm. Do you SSH from your laptop onto your primary PC or even RDP into it? I don't use RDP basically never. Sometimes, very rarely, I use Waypipe. Waypipe is like the Wayland version of what X forwarding used to do. Basically, you would SSH into a remote computer and then use X forwarding on X11 or Waypipe on Wayland in order to forward just one program through SSH onto your local screen, right? So you SSH into a remote computer, you use Waypipe to run Firefox, and that Firefox from the remote computer just appears on your local screen. So that's what I use sometimes instead of RDP, because I don't really need the entire remote desktop. But usually I just use a raw SSH because uh, I just use locally everything on my laptop when I am on my laptop. I mean GUI programs, Firefox, Thunderbird, and the other stuff, right? I use everything locally, except when it comes to programming. When it comes to programming, I actually SSH to this virtual machine called LPIC demo. That one is not on my primary PC or on my laptop, it's on my server. So that's where I do programming. So I never program locally. Basically, I always program remotely via SSH, no matter on which computer I am. It's always on the same machine. Uh, yeah. All of my programming exercises don't require any CPU resources. So it doesn't matter at all how powerful the remote computer is for my programming practice. But if I were in future to require more of the programming grunt from the CPU for huge compiling, then I would alter this behavior a little bit. I don't know. It depends. It all depends on how you organize your development environment. Some people prefer to have everything on their laptop and then hook up this laptop to a big screen when they are on the desktop. So they take everything with them all of the time and it's always on just one computer, and that's fine. Me personally, I prefer big power, so to speak. So that's why I have a desktop PC, which actually I call floor PC for obvious reasons. But when it comes to actually programming and development, as I said, that's where I prefer a remote computer, which is always the same. So I just SSH into that. Also, if you need just more compile power, it still doesn't matter which computer you use, because if you have more than one computer, you can distribute compile resources over multiple computers. Uh, this is most apparent for Gen 2 users, because Gen 2 users need a lot of CPU power, because every installed package compiles a shitload of stuff, and the more CPU power you have, the faster you can install stuff. So I don't know, let's take for example, if you want to install a new Firefox on Gentoo, it will take many hours to install it, because compiling a web browser takes a shitload of time. But when you have multiple computers, you can just tell your compiler to distribute CPUs over your LAN network. So you can just use CPU resources of all of your computers that are turned on. It doesn't require much network resources. So that's a cool way to do that. That's a cool way to compile stuff faster. You can you can hear my family, right? Just a second. Let me tell them to be quiet. Anyways, my family will continue talking, but they are like uh, about 10 meters from me, and the microphone is picking them up. I don't really believe that I can make the microphone pick up only me. I'm no longer muted. I know that I was muted, but that was intentional because I was yelling at them. That was completely intentional. Um, yeah, I mean, I could decrease the pickup volume of the microphone, but in that case, I would need to speak really close to close the door. Maybe, and I can't close the door. That's the problem. I need air conditioning. Air conditioning is like 15 meters away from me, and I'm using open doors to pull just a tiny bit of that air conditioning into my room, and there is no other reason, there is no other way I can remain somewhat not overwhelmed with heat. What chapter are you studying today? Okay. Ice Blade. Write in the comment of the stream, if you can, the current time. I think you can do that immediately, and it will stay as comment for later. Write in the comment that the stream actually starts at the minute, which is right now, whatever the minute is. Okay, so Taburetka, we are doing the how was that Zoom? Windows Alt, was it? No, and then Windows Control. Yeah, okay. So today we are doing arrays and pointers. Okay. So there are multiple things about this topic. The last time we did the beginning of arrays, easy example, getting the length of the array initializers, out of bounds, and multi-dimensional arrays. So that day I have left the last part for today simply because it seemed like it's a little bit bigger component, and it was already getting late, so that was the decision to cut it at that point. So today we continue with arrays and pointers, which consists of some sub components. Getting a pointer to an array, there will be a little bit of you know, when you watch a new episode of a TV show, then you have in the last episode. So in the last episode, I will do that a little bit before we actually begin. So we have an easier time to start with arrays and pointers. And that's where we do getting a pointer to an array, passing single dimensional arrays to functions, changing arrays in functions, and also passing multidimensional arrays to functions. So it could be a good chunk of a lesson. It could not be. I don't know. I'm learning as I go, so we will see how that goes. Okay, so for the beginning, Iceblade says you can't make VOD comments while stream is on. Okay, and then just write down on paper maybe what the time actually was before I started replying to Taburetka. Golga Katani says arrays and pointers in C. I'm bracing myself for my head to explode. Good. Okay, let's go just a little bit on the last episode of Learn C with me. So, good. So, the last time we did a little bit of declaring an array. So just as a small reminder, somewhere in the text, I will not be reading the old text, that we did that the last time, but as a small reminder, arrays in C are not exactly arrays. I mean, they are, but they are not, which may come as a confusing thing. But had you been on the past stream, you would know already what I'm talking about. So if you haven't been on the past stream, I would suggest to go watch that one first, because today's stream will literally continue on the last one, and it's one unit. The previous stream and today's stream are one unit. So why I said that arrays are not really arrays in C, it's because we have a pointers, and if you don't know what pointers are, you would have to rewatch the pointers lesson, which was one before that. Basically, if you're watching this stream starting with this one, that's somewhat a bad idea. So go back and watch the first ones, because they all build on top of each other, and there is no good thing coming out of skipping anything. It won't do you any good. Anyways, arrays are basically you have a pointer that points to a part in the memory, and arrays are, for example, if you're using integers or floats or whatever, they are big as they are. There are some size of memory chunks, so the array just starts at one memory chunk, and how much the array says that it has parts, let's say 4, as in this example, then the pointer will tell you it starts here, and you have 4 memory chunks following, so that's your array basically. And in C, the C language and the compiler and everything together, it will just calculate the size of those 4 chunks together to tell you that this part of the memory is your array. So I hope I did that well. I will become a little bit better as time goes by. Anyways, getting the length of array. This basically answers what I just said. So what we did here is we used size of to understand how big your array is. Array initializers, you can initialize an array with constants ahead of time. I'm not actually sure if I can summarize this without repeating the entire lesson. You should never have more items in your initializer than there is room for in the array, or the compiler will get cranky. So that was an example where we told the array that it is, where we defined it as 5 chunks, and then we tried to add the 6th one. We had a problem with that. Out of bounds. C doesn't stop you for accessing arrays out of bounds. It might not even warn you. So this was a huge part of last stream where some people in the stream were asking about how come we are unable to trigger any kind of errors, not even warnings from a compiler. We tried even with GCC and with LLVM, both of them, with all of the switches, and as far as I remember, we didn't manage to trigger any type of warning. But it is what it is, right? What we did get is when we tried to define an array of 5 chunks and then use the for loop to print all 10 of these chunks, we got garbage, right? So the gist of that part of the lesson was don't do anything that causes undefined behavior ever. So if you want to be a good C programmer, just do things the C way, right? Don't. This language is literally not holding your hand. You are the one who has control over the computer when using C language for programming. So you are the master of your computer. You are giving orders to your computer, and the computer will do literally everything that you ask it to do. If you ask your computer to jump out of the window, it will jump out of the window and it will be dead. So that will be the way you program in C. If you try to do that in Rust, I actually don't know anything about Rust, but I do know how famous it is about memory safety. So it might even stop you from giving it orders that could result in undefined behavior. Now, I'm not claiming that. I'm just saying that it's probably like that. But what I'm actually saying is that with C, you have the control. You tell the computer to kill itself, it will kill itself. I'm being a bit melodramatic, but it's literally the way C works. It's a fairly low level language, and you can go lower than that, but not too much. Iceblade, to be honest, I never understood why it's not an array. Well, I'm not really sure, Iceblade, if I'm fully equipped to explain it any better than I already did. But mostly it comes down to the way how C thinks about what an array is. So in high-level languages, I suspect you would tell the programming language, okay, we have an array, and it consists of these items, and it will store items. In C, on the other hand, it kind of relies to pointers in the background to simply define where the values of the array start, and basically what you define is the beginning of the memory address, and you define how long it is. And the way you define how long it is by telling what kind of content you have stored in array, because that relies on the size of the memory chunks. So I guess why people say it is an array, but it's not really. I guess it comes down to what I said. It's pointers and memory. Don't know much about Rust, but you could use unsafe to do similar thing. Oh, okay, but I'm not saying disable Rust from Rust. Yeah, you can, but I just tried to make a small comparison, right? The the only way in C is to have complete control of your computer, while in Rust, the majority of programming you will not want to go into unsafe mode. I think. I mean, why would you, right? I guess it depends on what you're programming. If you're programming some higher uh, language based things where you don't need absolute speed and absolute control, then regular Rust design is perfectly fine. But maybe when you need absolute speed, then you will go into that unsafe territory. I don't know how much of that uh, unsafe Rust is in Linux kernel, but I suppose there is some, simply because in the kernel you really need that absolute speed and lower level stuff, but maybe not in all of the components, right? Depending on how real time you want to go. Now I'm getting out of hand with what I know, so don't listen to me anymore. Multidimensional arrays. This part was a little bit head spinning for me because in the beginning I couldn't quite wrap my head about. Well, basically the lesson started with if you have two-dimensional array, you will have a row and a column. And then we started thinking in 3D, so that is very easy to visualize in your head how 3D looks when you add the third dimension to row and a column. But then my head exploded when we got to a fourth dimension, and in the end we used some wikis and a little bit of chatbots, so it became a lot more clear about how multi-dimensions work, because it's not really physical dimensions, it's just mathematical dimensions. So it's not really supposed to be visualized in that way, at least not in a fully physical way. So with any amount of dimensions, you have recursive contents, right? So you have like four dimensions that each contains 5 dimensions, and each one of these 5 dimensions contains 6 of the dimensions of the integer. Okay, so in the top level dimensions you don't have your integers. Your integers are contained only in the I am looking for a good word for that, but let's just go with the word last. So just the last dimension. If you have ever watched any kind of tournament, let's say soccer or football tournament, you have many teams competing against each other, and then some of them win, and in the end you end up with a winner. So flip that around. You start with a small number that kind of splits into more pieces, and when you get to the last the last part, that's where your integers are actually stored. So you have quite a lot of them because it's basically 6 times 5 times 4. And that's about it. We are ready to actually start. Actually, Iceblade, can you please write down on your paper 2 time slots? One of them is called let's name it previously on Learn C with me, and the second one is lesson starts here, and that one uses the timer, which is right now. Okay, arrays and pointers. Golga Catania, I visualize it as a tree diagram. Yeah, that's what I just said. It's just that the way it was explained initially in the book, that got me slightly confused. But that's my problem, because when the book author used the term 2D, I had a spreadsheet in my head. And then when we switched to 3D, I had a cube visualized in my head. That's where I killed myself. And when we switched to 4D, then I was no longer able to visualize it, and I needed a small reset of the concept of the way that I think of these multi-dimensions until I got it right. So I don't think that saying 2D is a good way to teach everyone. It may be a good idea, but if you want to teach someone about all of the dimensions, I think what did you say? I visualize it as a tree diagram. Yeah, as a tree diagram seems like a better idea. I just dumped it in Matrix instead. Islet says good. Thank you very much. Casually. So I kinda might have mentioned up there that arrays were pointers. Oh, good. Look, Iceblade, we are actually going to go down this rabbit hole once again. So, as I said, this book is really good at explaining things at some point. So, at some point, everything sits in its place, even if not immediately. So, this is for you, Iceblade. It seems. So I kind of might have mentioned up there that arrays were pointers deep down. We should take a shallow dive into that now, so that things aren't completely confusing. Good. Later, I'm so happy that this is next. And also, this is literally the reason why I don't read this book ahead of the stream, is because the entire stream is kind of like my genuine reaction to whatever comes in the book. Because if I would read this in advance, the stream wouldn't be that good. My knowledge might be higher in the beginning of the stream, but the stream itself, I think, would suffer in terms of maybe quality or even entertainment. Because after all, this whole C programming ordeal is not here for us to get a job at. I mean, you can if you're into that. But for me, it's all about fun, because if you just want to get something done in C, nowadays you can ask the chatbot to do it for you, right? But for me, this is about learning, this is about understanding, and more so out of everything else, about pure fun. And in my personal opinion, C seems to be the most fun language out of all of them. Later on, we will look at what the real relationship between arrays and pointers is, but for now I just want to look at passing arrays to functions. Zoran is asking, no vibe coding for you then. I do vibe coding, that's not the point. Allow me to just derail this for one more minute. When I need some functional components on my computer, for example, I wanted to understand. I purchased a new battery for my laptop, and I really wanted to know how long in hours does my battery last. And on the surface, you can just point your mouse to the battery icon, and when it's full, and it will tell you 10 hours remaining. And in 1 minute, it will tell you 5 hours remaining because you just started the compile. And then you would let it idle for a minute because you were drinking coffee, and you point the mouse to the battery icon and it tells you 14 hours remaining. So what is it? Which one is correct? So I wanted a program, a way that literally calculates my usage. So not hypothetical usage from this laptop, but actual my usage of this particular laptop. I don't care about other people, just me and this laptop, and how many hours can this laptop last. So the best way to calculate this was to calculate all of the times since waking up the laptop from sleep, because I mostly just sleep it and unsleep it. Calculate from the wake up moment to the sleep moment how much time has passed, what was the battery charge at the beginning, what was the battery charge at the end, put that into the database. Next time, put another session into the database. If I plug in a charger, detect that through a already built-in daemons in Linux, which tell me, okay, the charger has now been plugged in. Now cut the measurement here, because we no longer want to measure battery behavior just from the wake up on battery moment until when the charger was plugged in. And there are a couple of more scenarios where we are using laptop on battery, and you fill all of these into the database over time, and over time your data gets better and better and better. And I put where is my pointer? I placed a number like on top of the KDE bar, which just tells me 7 hours and 30 minutes, and it gets that from my program. So this whole ordeal is about vibe coding. It would take me a ton of time to actually build that entire system. It's not that hard to build, but I really wanted it as quick as possible, and then practice my C programming on something that I need less. So that's my take on vibe coding. You need something right now, you can use I don't see a problem, with vibe coding. Why not? If you have the tools and you need these tools to make something for you, by all means use them. They're tools, right? They will not stop me from actually learning C. I might learn C better if I would build all that myself, but I'm so low with my C knowledge that I would get that tool maybe in a year, if you understand what I'm saying. And I really wanted that tool right now, so why not outsource building of that tool to something else, which in this case has been a vibe coding agent of sorts. So at the same time, I feel like I can absolutely use vibe coding for building shit and then learn C on the other side and do the things very slow without any pressure and stuff like that. Iceblade says he's not vibe coding, he's chat coding. I suppose. Most of these just do a current draw divided by current amount. It's Iceblade, it's not that simple. I mean, yes, but there is more components involved here. So you have to learn how best to handle the database. You have to learn how to handle these current amounts. David Lupkin, thank you very much for subscribing. You have to be able to talk to daemons, which will tell you when the charger was plugged in, plugged out. You have to talk to daemons that tell you when the computer was woken. You have to learn a bit of systemd. It's all good knowledge, actually, but it all depends on how fast you want the product. And I'm not blaming anyone from using the tools that we have at our disposal. Yeah. Getting a pointer to an array. I want to tell you a secret. Generally speaking, when a C programmer talks about a pointer to an array, they are talking about a pointer to the first element of the array. Iceblade, as I said 20 minutes ago, the first element of the array. So let's get a pointer to the first element of array. Include standard input output int main void. Okay. Let's see what it says here. Let me remove the sidebar. Okay, so what's going on here? We are having our array spawned here. It's called A. It has 5 chunks. I hope that's a good word. Maybe later I will figure out that there's a better word, but let's say 5 chunks in this array. They are of the type integer. So before we continue here, I want to stress one more thing. When you compile your C program, some of these types will be larger or smaller inside the memory, depending on what kind of computer architecture you are compiling your program on. So if on your 64-bit, it doesn't have to be integer. It can. I'm talking about arrays now, not about integers. Whatever you are putting in your array, you will define what type of data goes into your array, and on the compile time, it will be decided how big each chunk of that array is in your memory. So that's why you cannot know you can know in advance by using the size of command, but that's not so relevant at this moment. When you compile it, it will then be understood that your array chunk is this big, or maybe it's this big, and you have 5 of them, so it will be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and your array is this big in the memory. So your array pointer points here, but it's all of this. 5 elements in the array, chunks is better. I will express myself the best I am able. If it seems over time that there are some more, how do you say it, better standardly used expressions between C programmers than what I'm using, eventually I will pick them up. Most programming are assuming you are on 64-bit at x86 architecture. This book included, I think, Iceblade says. I don't think so. This book particularly never expects you to be on a 64-bit x86. What I noticed so far is that the author of this book keeps stressing, on my system I get this value, but on your system it might be something else. So this book in particular, I never notice that it assumes what kind of computer architecture you're using. And in regards to the first part of your sentence, most programming are assuming, I don't actually understand what that means. Programming is not capable of assuming, as far as I know. Let's go back to the code, and I will attempt to not interrupt myself this time. So this time I see something else in chat, but I really don't want to read the chat anymore because the lesson will last for 5 hours. We have defined an integer array. This is an array. It's labeled as A. It has 5 chunks, and we immediately fill it with data in all of these chunks. Okay. Then we do the int p as a pointer here. Okay. And p as a pointer points to an array. And as it says in the description, points to the first element. But what we are saying here, the pointer is not pointing to the first element because the element is defined here, but rather in general the pointer is pointing to the first element of the array always. And then by asking for the element 0, you are claiming or asking for the first element or the first chunk out of that array. I believe this is correct so far. So when we attempt to print that p, which has retrieved the first element in that array, we will print 11. I don't even believe that this requires typing, but if you're really new in C, I would advise you to pause the stream right now. If you are watching a video on demand, you might want to type that yourself and just try to switch 0 with 1, which would not make the pointer point to the second element, it will still point to the first element because that's how pointers of the arrays work. But when you type 1 here, you will get the second element out with that print command. This is so common to do in C that the language allows us a shorthand. Taburetka is saying it will point to the second element. I'm not going to argue with something that I can admit that I could be wrong about, but let's do this. This is just for Taburetka and anyone else who cares. The talk in English. The above code will print 11. Okay, let's remove these comments. Will print 11 because we are asking, because we have defined P with the first element of the array by using 0. Correct? Answer just yes or no. Okay, so far so good. If we ask for 1, okay, actually I will ask that the next. The pointer P is pointing to the first element in the array. Also correct. Okay, so far so good. If we change our request to 1, then the output will be 22. Correct? This 22, okay? Yes. And now for the fight between Taburetka and me. But if we change the request to 1, then the pointer P will still point to the first first element in the array because the pointer always points to the first element in the array, no matter which element in the array we will ask for later. Correct? If you write p equals and a1, the pointer p points to the second, not the first. A pointer points to whichever address you assign to it. Gives the first element, gives the second, and so on. There is no rule that a pointer always points back to the first element. Okay. Thank you very much for correcting me, Taburetka. This is good. This is good to understand. Okay, so I did definitely make one big mistake here. So a pointer, I have intentionally asked very direct and simple questions to Claude because I wanted a direct answer. But this derailed me a little bit. Generally speaking, when a C program talks about a pointer to an array, they are talking about a pointer to the first element of the array. Okay, so that's a pointer to an array. So let's get a pointer to the first element of the array. Okay. This is so common to do in C that the language allows us a shorthand. P equals pointer to this is so common to do in C that the language allows us a shorthand. P equals A. P points to the array, but much nicer looking. What is footnote 8? To the first element of the array, This is technically incorrect, as a pointer to an array and pointer to the first element of an array have different types. But we can burn that bridge once we get to it. Taburetka says that they mean in the book that A is basically a pointer. Okay. Don't get me wrong, I'm happy to make mistakes and then work on it, because there will always be someone else that will make the same mistake as I did here, because all of the live stream stuff here comes down to understanding what we are doing. So once again, it's not a shame. I'm not embarrassed, and I'm very much thankful to Taburetka for pointing this out, because maybe the book would have corrected me in the near future, because that's what this book does. But being corrected immediately is even better. So our pointer here, and we are doing the pointer to the first element, but just the same, we can do this as well. And now maybe a good moment to try this, actually. And pointer array dot C. Okay. C pointer array dot C 11. And if we do P equals A, we also get 11. Good. Now, whether or not this is useful in the real life, I don't know yet. Because generally speaking, if you wish to get something out of the array, you will most likely want to pull the first data, the second data, the fifth data. So just by using P equals A, if that always gets you the first data, I'm unsure how useful that is. But what I am sure is that eventually this will sit on its rightful place and basically explain itself. Try P equals A plus 1. Pointer actually nano bash. I wanted to never mind. I wanted to change my shortcut. Yep, it's 22. Well, whether this is nicer or easier to use, I suppose it is. But as with all things in C language, I think it's much more valuable not to use shortcuts immediately, but just be aware of them, because this looks like a shortcut. So yeah. Zoran says maybe I go too fast, but if you ampersand A0, 3, will that get you the first and fourth element? No, you will get an error. Iceblade says also that you will get an error. We can try that as well, but you will get an error because you can't do that. What you can do is pull it with a print or something. It's not a shortcut, you're adding to a pointer. I guess that's a good way to explain it, but what I meant by shortcut is the ampersand. Actually, let's type that again. The ampersand and A with 0 is kind of more obvious visually in my head, because it has been said the ampersand kind of points to that A array to the location exactly that one. while just using a plus 1 does the same thing, but maybe you're right. Maybe it's even visually the same. I can't really say anything. I need more experience with real stuff in order to claim which one feels more visually coherent in the head. But let's go and compile this once again and see that it works. And now let's do what Zoran said, comma 1, and let's expect an error here. Yeah, so left hand operand of comma expression has no effect. Okay, so as everyone else said in chat, you can't do that. Taburetka says the compiler actually expands a1 as a pointer of a plus 1. So ampersand a1 is a... okay. I see what you mean. This is actually well explained, and also my head hurts. Also, Rootlex explained it to me in the same way a couple of days ago offline, not on stream. So what the pointer is if you look at the chat, at what Taburetka wrote here, the compiler expands a1 as pointer, and in the regular braces, or I keep forgetting the English names, let's call them braces for now, you get a plus 1. So if you think about it that way, you will then understand how things can be easily flipped. Even this is I will use your example, Taburetka, just for one thing. Where was it? Actually, let's see if I have it. Not here. Sorry, I'm looking for something from the previous lesson, but it's not here. Let's do the nano pointer array here. P equals ampersand A0 or ampersand 1. So we already have proven that this will print 22 as it is right now. But also let's try to type it this way. A plus 1. Can we type it like this? We cannot. assignment to int from int makes pointer from integer without a cast. Okay, that's my problem. Remove asterisk. Sorry, you don't know what I was trying to do. Gets the value of that address, but you need a... Okay. Let's go back to p is a plus 1. Okay, so this works. Snow Mountain, he's using Nano instead of Vim, called the FBI. Welcome to the stream. Okay, I will explain myself once we get to it, because I don't know how to express what I want to say at the moment. But I think the book will lead us to that. Okay, so p equals ampersand a, the first element, which is the same as p equals a. Thank you, brother. Yes. The last time I was on the last stream, there was a ton of new people who have been discussing Linux distributions and editors and all kinds of good stuff. But what it comes down to, we are learning C here, so none of that really matters. And I kind of enjoy these tiny little simple editors until I get to the point where I will need more, and then I will probably switch to Emacs, if that's okay with you. Try p, Taburetka says try p equals ampersand 0 a. Actually, Taburetka, that was where I was trying to go, but I didn't know how to put it. Ampersand a 0 r equals ampersand 0 a. I think this is a better way to do it all at once. This is what you wanted, Taburetka, correct? I think this is all at once, right? So that it's visible what we are doing. And let's compile. Oh, r. Oh, I didn't declare it. Sorry. Int r. Okay. Where is my... Okay. R is not... Yeah, okay. We have the compiler to warn me about that, so we're all good. Okay, so as everyone can see now, what Taburetka asked me to do is to try doing the variable which we will print, to try to flip it into doing the pointer to the 0 with the position a. And the reason why this functions is precisely because of what Taburetka explained. At the first glance, this looks ridiculous, and why the hell would that work? But when you disassemble it into how C sees it, it's a pointer to a plus 0, but also it is a pointer to 0 plus a, so it's literally the same. Oh, and Taburetka just explained it in the same way. Yeah. I actually have to thank once more to Rootlex because he was the first one to get me through this. But Taburetka also did a great job at doing the same. Because, as I said, at the first glance, I would think that this is a pointer to a variable and we're getting the first position. And if I think in that way, we have a problem, right? Because it's incorrect way to think about it. That's not how the compiler will see it. Because if you think about it as a pointer to a variable 0 with a position a, it's a bit weird, right? So that's why you have to think about it in a way that the compiler will see it. It is a pointer to a plus 0 or 0 plus 8 or whatever. If you put number 1 here and number 1 here, it will still be the same. It's 1 plus a or a plus 1 in the pure addition. In the basic math, it is literally the same. Iceblood says it was kind of what I messaged, but hard to explain in text, but I get it now. Good. Goga Katani says, so it simply adds the parts A and the 1. Yes, exactly. Blank, welcome in. I didn't see you previously in chat. Welcome in. I have never seen that syntax. I have been writing my own Bourne shell in C for the past few months. Yeah, if you're talking about this syntax here, then yeah, you can absolutely do that, and it is 100% valid because of, as you go down to the bottom, because of how the compiler sees it. Taburetka says because A is a pointer, it's basically a large 8-byte integer. Like double integer, yes. I would say that today's lesson is really going very well. Golga Katani is asking what's double int. It is a bigger integer. Yeah. If you want to store an integer into the memory, it's this big. When I use my hands like this, I usually am trying to visualize a size in your memory, okay? So an integer on a 64-bit system is this big, and a double integer is this big. So if your program is working with small numbers, let's say that your program is dealing with the room temperature. You will never need a double integer for a room temperature because it's usually 2 digits, maybe 3. Okay, I think Fahrenheit can go to 3 digits. Celsius will not go to 3 digits in the room temperature. So by using integers, you are using less memory. If you're using double integers, you're using a lot more memory for literally no reason, and you're wasting your memory. You may think that you have gigabytes of memory, but why would you waste memory intentionally? That doesn't make sense. Another thing, I mean, at some point you will do some crazy scientific stuff, then you will actually need double integers so that you can use huge numbers, and that's when you will use more memory. It's really easy to wrap your head around. So that's it. SSD work not. So welcome into the stream. Personally, I hate C++ because header files recompile the included stuff and it makes the compilation way too long, bro. And the default variable sizes are weird. Long. What? To be honest, I have no experience with C++ whatsoever, so I will leave it up to the chat to comment on that. I don't want to put myself where I do not belong. Iceblade says double int is like int 4 byte, but if you want a really big number, you might be forced to use double int 8 byte. Basically, different type of integer for large numbers. I'm reading the chat, by the way. Golga Katani says, do you mean a long data type? Taburetka answered with yes. Blank, there are some benefits to not using smaller ints, mostly performance, because of how it has to work in a modern CPU. I'm not familiar with that. Blank. I'm not familiar with benefits of using larger integers to get more performance. What I do understand is that smaller memory footprints mean using less memory. So I think that would be more beneficial. Taburetka says long can be equal to integer on different architectures. I think so. We call it double int. Yeah, okay. That is one of the intricacies of C programming language. You have to either understand how large integers are on 64-bit system, on 32-bit system, or if you are not sure, you can use size of to query before you commit. So on different architectures, they are of the different memory footprint, and these are the things that you have to be aware of. Otherwise, you might have an issue at some point in your program if you test your program only on 64-bit system and then someone tries to compile it on 32-bit system, and it will compile and then it will maybe crash when it really needs that larger number. So it's good to understand the differences between architectures. Vishuni, hopefully I read that correctly. Vishuni, welcome into the stream. Can you do a brief explanation of structure bit fields and using data types in bit level sizes? That actually doesn't sound like it fits in this lesson. Sorry for answering in this way, but I need to explain what we are doing on this stream. Basically, we are using. I feel like your first time on the stream, so just let me walk you through the stream format just a little bit. We are using Beej's Guide to C Programming. The name of the author is B-E-E-J. And we are fairly close to the beginning of the book. So we went through Hello World, through variables and statements, through functions, through pointers, and we are now at arrays. So there is plenty more to go until we can say that we have conquered this book, and there is no much point in skipping anything. Because the whole point of the stream is to have a little bit of fun and go along as the book explains it, because it really does a great job at explaining everything. Sooner or later, even if you think the book didn't quite explain it properly, you go to the next page and there it is, the explanation and the answer to the questions that we have had like 15 minutes ago. So the correct answer to your question, Vishuni, I actually don't know, to be honest. Blank, I'll just look up what I'm talking about to copy paste it in to make sure I give the right information, mostly because the CPU ends up just converting to the larger int for math operations anyway. Blank, yeah, it's called stack alignment. So what you guys are saying is that the CPU will convert, but then it comes down to making a decision if you want faster operation or you want to save some memory. Am I correct? Because if your program really needs the last, not the CPU, but the compiler, okay, then it doesn't matter. I thought that someone said the CPU does the conversion. I don't know who said that anymore. But so if the CPU doesn't do any conversion, then it doesn't make much sense to not use the smaller integers, because that's how I would save some memory. So saving memory is not a bad thing if there are literally no consequences beyond maybe the time that it takes for the compilation to finish. Golga Katani says, I only know x86 64, so I don't care in the past. You should care. You should care, because if you say that you don't care, you have, I believe that you have two choices as a programmer if you don't care. Either you will publish your program on, let's say, GitHub, and in the README you will write, this program only works on 64-bit CPUs, because you have never tested it on 32-bit, or you will have to care about testing it on 32 bits, because maybe some 32-bit users will use your program. So in many cases, I don't see why you wouldn't support 32-bit users. They are still around. Maybe there is a technical reason why you cannot, but it feels stupid. Tabretka said yes, because it uses mathematical operations for accessing elements. Blank blank where you make the decision will matter is mostly in a struct versus not in a struct, or places where it helps with cache lines. In places like that, saving memory helps, otherwise use int or long. I'm mostly talking about storing things in integers smaller than int, so short slash char. Yeah, okay, I get it. I think you confuse. Gorgo Katani says, I think you confuse pointers 8 bytes and int 4 bytes in this case. Golga Katani is number 2 on the leaderboard. How did that happen in chat? I have no clue. Hello 09880. Welcome into the chat. He or she, I can't see the avatar, says learn Java. And now the flame wars will start. Don't interact with flame wars, please. That's not productive for my stream. SSD work not. I use AI to help me synthesize hard documentation. I am the villain. No, I mean, if you understand the end result, I see no problem there. I don't see the point of even thinking that you would be some kind of a villain. The most important thing is that you understand the entirety of your source code. If you don't understand your own source code because something else wrote it, then you have a problem, like a serious one. But if you synthesize documentation, I don't see the problem there. I mean, for example, I want to talk from the real life, from at least what I follow on the internet. There are a lot of discussions in Debian, in Linux, the kernel, in I don't know, Hyperland, and many other projects where it is currently being defined whether or not AI will be allowed, and if yes, in what capacity. And I don't care what other projects say, but my stance is usually that AI should never be allowed to directly participate in PRs. It should always be the human who is providing the changes to the code, and it should always, and I mean always, be the human who stands 100% behind the code which he/she is providing. Now, on the other hand, if that human has used AI locally to help themselves with coming up with the code, that's perfectly fine in my eyes, as long as this person understands the absolute entirety of what the code is doing before pushing it upstream for acceptance in the project. So what I'm saying is the human is 100% responsible, and it should always be this way. Once you allow, once you shift the responsibility to AI to push the changes, and human is no longer the filter, then you're in trouble really fast because the whole code base will how do I say become out of scope of humans really quickly, and I don't think that could end really well. Hello 09880. What projects have you built in C? Literally nothing, because as I said, I am learning through this stream, and if you're someone who knows a lot more than I do, maybe this live stream is not well suited for you. The concept of this live stream is that I am learning C and other people are learning C together with me. Sometimes I manage to explain something to others who tend to understand things slower than I do. Sometimes people are faster than me and they provide feedback to me and speed me up. Like someone corrected me like half an hour ago where I made a mistake. So all in all, it's a really beneficial two-way peer learning stream, if this explanation makes more sense. Iceblade says, can still joke around it. Blank blank, I might need to two pastes. This is what I meant about in a performance. Char short are actually slightly slower than int size t for arithmetic. C's integer promotion rules mean char short operands are promoted to int before the operation, so the compiler emits an extra mov sx mov zx extension. That would probably mean assembly. Coffee Lake for 6.2b operations show char 12.76 seconds short. Okay, so this is measurement. And the difference appears to be a couple of percentage, but I think the overall information that comes out of what blank blank is explaining is to be aware that some differences in the variables can lead to small, I mean, maybe it's not small from certain projects. For certain projects, 5% could be a lot. It could lead to some performance differences. So if you are working on a project that really needs that last squeeze of the speed, then maybe you should think about what kind of whether you use integers, double integers, or whatnot, and in the end you should measure how much you get out of switching them. So it's not like you really need to remember the differences, the hard differences, but when you are working on a project which really needs that last squeeze of the speed, then you will remember probably this live stream and start measuring the differences and maybe slightly restructure your code. The Golga Katani says the compiler can generate slightly smaller machine code using integers. Long values, for example, require prefixes in the machine code. Pointers, however, are always 8 bytes long. Iceblood says technically a fizzbuzz foobar is something you have made. Yeah, I did made that, but I don't believe that Mr. Hello 09880, the Java man, or Java woman cares about FizzBuzz. I think the question was directed at me about my credentials for even streaming, I think. The avatar of that person is really tiny. I can't tell. I can't tell the representation of the gender, so I'm just gonna use both genders just to be sure. But yeah, my credentials are not that high as that person seems to have asked. SSD work, not my favorite programming language, is C++. It has a huge amount of flaws, but Python, despite being easier and less flawed, is just way too slow. I know a little C and some web dev, but not that much though. Okay. Blank blank, yeah, I'm mostly saying it's something worth being aware of, and there are trade-offs. Iceblade will be right back. Taburetka says, I coded in C++ before and switched to C because it's way more logical to me. I don't have a proper experience to say this or that seems to be more logical. But when I started thinking about programming languages, it really didn't take long for me to understand that C is the way I want to go. And it was mostly by the means of deduction. And as I said, I don't have proper experience with many programming languages to say I have experience in this language and I hate this and I love this in this language or stuff like that. It's just that I feel like I want to talk to the machine in as low way as possible. So it kind of felt like C is the best way to do that, because assembly, while I might try to learn that, is not the way. I mean it's not portable. So the lowest portable language that is widely used is C. I kind of enjoy this low level thinking, and C is kind of easier to learn than C++ or some other higher level languages. I mean, it's smaller in scope, and it could be harder in the long run to manage a large project, but that depends on what exactly you are aiming for. There are many different languages that aim for different scopes of project. So I still believe that this is the way I really want to go. And also I kind of want to talk to the CPU directly. And also I have some microcontrollers in mind that I want to program. I think C will do well over there as well. SSD Worknot says, in case someone shames you for liking C, remember Linus Torvalds preferred C for his stuff. First of all, I do not engage in internet arguments. That's for dumb people. Literally. That makes no sense in life. It's just a literal waste of time, okay? It's a waste of time to argue with anyone on the internet. Everyone has an opinion, so whatever. Shaming me, okay. like if that's your thing, do please continue wasting your time on that. I already have, my direction, so I couldn't care less about you having a problem about what my language of choice is. So I think that's a very healthy attitude to have. I really don't care. About Linus Torvalds preferring C, if I would engage in any sort of argument, and I'm not saying that I ever will, I don't believe that I would really use Linus Torvalds for that, because when he started programming Linux, there weren't that many choices in languages as they are today. So who can say that he wouldn't have chosen Rust back in the day if it had existed? Um, I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying that I don't know what he would have chosen had he had more choices. Aljo Shamlinaric, welcome in. Isn't default language for programming Arduino C++? I don't know. I wasn't really thinking about Arduino. I was actually thinking about Raspberry Pi Pico. Pico is using Python or C. I don't know if you can use assembly for Pico. I really don't know. I think you should be able, but you really can use C for sure. Golga Katani says the language needs to get the work done. That's it, I think. Absolutely. Faceless commentator, welcome into the chat. This was probably asked already. What resource is being used? Faceless commentator. Click on the description of this live stream. You will see a link to BEEJ's guide to C programming. That's what we are using. BEEJ is the name of the book author. It's completely free for download. Taburetka already wrote it in chat. I actually purchased a couple of Raspberry Pi microcontrollers, and I am already playing. Just a second. Okay, so this is a toy of mine that I am currently working on. It's a really small thing at the moment. It only has basically one light. But what I'm trying to do here, this is a Raspberry Pi microcontroller. What I'm trying to do here is I'm not going to talk about it for too long because it will take the stream way out of hand. But it kind of has to do with microcontrollers. So I just wanted to say that I'm doing something on the side beyond just doing this live stream. What this thing is already doing, but I need a couple of more electronic elements in order to finish it. I am doing a shopping list which will sit on the wall next to the fridge. It will have stuff like milk, sugar, potatoes, tomatoes, whatever you frequently repurchase in order to refill your fridge. But the gist of it, it's for the whole family, not for one member of the household. So basically, when you use up the last of the milk, all you have to do is press the milk button, and it will switch the contact on the microcontroller. Microcontroller will understand. It actually already does that. The microcontroller understands that you have pushed the milk button. The milk button has a light, a LED light next to it, which will not light up just yet. But first, the microcontroller over Wi-Fi will talk to my server, which is running and is already connected to the internet. It will tell my server that a milk has been requested, and my server will then say, okay, let's check the database. Yep, the milk has not been requested so far, and now it is switched to the state as requested. And then the server will return the information to the microcontroller. Okay, the change has been successfully made in the database. Now you can switch on the light. This direction needs to happen because in order to turn on the light on the board, on the wall, I need to be 100% sure that the server has received that order. Okay, so now the light is lit up, and now we have the board where some lights are lit, and it's just a toggle button, right? Now some lights are lit because these items are missing in the fridge. It's really easy to understand. And then you have a small web page which simply lists the items that are missing, and they are shown as a web page that connects on the server to the database. So when you are in the store, whichever of the household family members is in the store, that person can just pick up the phone, see, okay, milk is missing, pick up the milk, put it in the shopping cart, click the milk on the phone, and when that person clicks the milk on the phone, it will tell the server that the milk has been purchased. Well, it's in the shopping cart, but that's as good as purchased. And it is no longer a required item. So the server will then write in the database this item is no longer required. And then the server will send the command to the microcontroller locally next to the fridge that the light besides the milk item can now be turned off. I have explained it in a very long way, but it's actually a really, really simple thing. The counter to whatever I'm making here are various smartphone applications which I have previously used in my life, but they don't work. They really don't work. None of them work because all of the smartphone applications require you to, when you use the milk and you use up the last one, you now have to find where your smartphone is. You have to unlock it. You have to load the application. You have to do something in that application. And the friction here is so huge that in the vast reality, the vast amount of people simply end up not using it. The friction is simply way off the charts. And this is how I came up with you use the milk and you literally just push the button on the wall. There is nothing else for you to do. And I believe this is going to work very well. And when it's finished, I'm gonna upload it to the internet. So if you want, you can just use it. I'm catching up with chat once again. I think Arduino can run most things, but the makers kind of like C++. Yeah, I have no clue about that. Also, Arduino has been purchased by some big company. Let's remember who that was. Which big company purchased Arduino? Qualcomm. Qualcomm acquired Arduino a year ago. I'm not saying this is good or bad. I'm just saying there is some shift that has happened. So who knows what will follow? It may become even better, get more resources, get more languages. I don't know, but I kind of like Raspberry Pi, and for now I feel perfectly at home with Raspberry Pi, and Raspberry Pi costs like maybe €5. I think it's about maybe even less. Maybe you can get it for 4. So Zoran says for Raspberry Pi Pico it's MicroPython, but it supports also C and C++. Yeah. Taburetka, didn't Raspberry Pi become really expensive these days? How did you bought so many? This is like €40, I think, with shipping, the whole package. So I wouldn't call it that expensive, to be honest. It's good price. It's not that expensive. Faceless commentator says the microcontroller is $5. Yeah. Sorry, I'm reading the chat one by one. I didn't see your answer. Iceblade, the main question, will you have like 50 buttons for all the items or just a few for the most common? I will end up having all of the buttons for everything that this family repurchases, and my wife and I have calculated this to be roughly around 30 items. Okay. So as you know, for a button and a light, you need 2 different connections on your microcontroller, and Raspberry Pi doesn't have like 60 of them for a 30 items project. So thanks for the follow, Insane Ostrich. So there are things that you can add to. It's not focusing very well. Come on, camera, focus. Do it. Oh, there we go. It's somewhat focused. This is a small board that basically expands your microcontroller legs to more of them. So this one adds more lights and more buttons to the same Raspberry microcontroller, and I have even more of those. So in the end, I will have no issues with connecting all of the buttons and all of the lights that I need for my project. There are a gazillion of these expansion boards that you can add, and each one costs just a couple of bucks or euros, if you will. So all in all, it's it's not that expensive of a hobby. The most expensive part will actually be buttons, depending on what kind you want. Let me show you once again. I don't know if the name is like this, but okay. So this type of a button, I believe you all have seen this previously. It's basically this kind of a button is built into most electronics nowadays, and then you have some kind of a plastic whatever cap on top, which is shown to the user of the device, and when you push on the plastic below, it pushes on this button. So these buttons are super cheap, like they cost like peanuts, and you can I can get a lot of those for a really small amount of money. But if I would want something fancy like this kind of a button, yep, this is really fancy, but compared to the first button that I have shown you, you can get a gazillion of them for just a couple of euros. This one alone costs like 5 euros, and when you need 30 of them, that's a lot of money already. So these are maybe it's even more than 5 if it's a metal enclosure. So these are kind of expensive. So it all comes down to how much you're willing to spend. But yeah, the buttons can be expensive. It depends on what kind of case I will do. Taburetka says, I was thinking about Raspberry Pi 5. They are like $100 plus now. I actually have Raspberry Pi 5. I have plenty of Raspberry Pis. Here is 5 with an SSD hat. Currently it has no SSD because I have moved my SSD to something else as I wasn't using it. This is 5 with 8 gigabytes of RAM, but it makes zero sense to use this amount of power for a small, stupid switchboard. So that's when you use microcontrollers, right? Yeah. Aljosha Mlinaric says, so as I understand, for Raspberry Pi Pico, one does not need to provide operating system, so it is like Arduino, yes. So no operating system involved. Faceless commenter says, I like this project idea. Thank you. Faceless commenter, this is true. I've had this through before. I'm curious to learn if your solution works for you long term. I will tell you later on if it works long term, but the gist of the idea behind my project was to decrease the friction for the human to as low as I was able to think of. Some people told me get a smart fridge. No. Like, what am I supposed to do with smart fridge? Scan the barcodes? Nah. That's adding to the friction. I want normal dumb fridges that everyone in normal uses and not involve any modern smart technology. Just push the fucking button. That's it. Plus, you won't be giving any data to whoever wrote those smartphone apps, which is an AC plus. Yeah. Faceless comment here. Wow, that's pretty recent. I'm not even sure what the message was about. Sorry. Bluey 16, welcome into the chat. Hey, I have just started learning C++ and I'm thinking of building chip 8 emulator slash interpreter as a way to learn JIT, but the problem I face is I can't build things by looking at the specification. Any advice? I'm sorry, I'm not the right person to ask that question, but if anyone in chat knows the answer to your question, I hope that person will answer. Iceblade says he said Pi 5, the big one. I don't know who said the Pi 5, the big one. Faceless commentator, I love that the wife is included as the product owner for the project, and everything nowadays needs a wife approval factor, right? I have also been playing for the past month with something called Home Assistant. I have purchased all of the smart light bulbs and sensors around the house, and I'm doing a lot of automation around the house. This also includes, the rest of the family to a huge degree because they have to approve it, Alyosha Mlinarich says, so that board that expands microcontroller I/O, I think it's multiplexer. Yeah. Zoran says, I'm playing to something the same, but with a touchscreen AIO PC in the kitchen and an app with the buttons. Touchscreen and the operating system is fine. It's fine, but it adds a lot of complexity. I'm not saying that it will add any more friction, but it will add more complexity. So if you're fine with that, good. From the friction perspective, the goal of the entire project is friction, okay? Not complexity for the maker, just the friction. So if you need to just press a hard button or just touch a virtual button on the touch screen, it kind of feels the same in terms of friction. But what if your operating system crashes? That adds to the friction because your family will have less trust in your system and they might stop using it if it's not working 100% of the time. Okay, I'm talking hypothetically, it could crash. Beyond that, I see no problem, except for the fact that your project will be a lot more expensive than mine. Insane Osterreich, welcome into the chat. Rudlex, welcome in. How am I doing? We have derailed the stream to such a high degree that it's downright embarrassing. Okay. Faceless commentator. I use Pi5 for my internal web services. Okay. Insane Ostrich. Hello. Can you tell me whether you're learning C or embedded C? We're learning C. Let's get back to the lesson. Yeah, Iceblade and I seem to be on the same wavelength, but I think both of us have been prompted by the appearance of Rootlex. Okay, Iceblade put on matrix the third timestamp, which is now. That one will be called if the stream feels derailed, go to this timestamp to skip all of the shit talk. Okay, third timestamp. Also, thank you. Where were we? Getting a pointer to an array. Generally speaking, when I see programmer talks about a pointer to an array, they're talking about a pointer to the first element of the array. And then there was a footer saying that this is technically incorrect, as a pointer to an array and the pointer to the first element of an array have different types. But we can burn that bridge when we get to it. Okay, so the rest said, let's get a pointer to the first element of array, and on the right side behind the chat you can see that we have already done that. We have made an array here. We got the first element and we have printed 11. And if we go back to the code which we have generated by the power of the chat, we have shown how the ampersand a with the first element and writing it this way is the same, because where was this in chat? I don't know, it's lost. It's kind of lost, but the gist of it was that a plus 1, actually a plus 0, sorry, is a plus 0 as in the example above. This 0 over here and this 0 over here is the same as doing the 0 plus a. And as I said, kind of, I see this lesson is basically what I wrote to you a week ago. Rootlex says, yes, this is exactly it. And if by any means, Rootlex, you will be rewatching the video on demand, you will see that someone else explained it really well in the chat in very similar way as you explained it to me. But now we have it documented on the video on demand as well. So kind of there are two of you who explain it in the same way, and that's really awesome. I'm kind of really proud of these streams. There were a couple of people in chat today who have been expecting me to be a lot more knowledgeable about C. I had to let them down a little bit because I don't have a vast C knowledge. So I did explain what this live stream is about. But overall, we are doing very... I will rewatch it later. Okay. Overall, we are doing really good today. But yeah, P equals A This is so common to do in C that the language allows us a shorthand which is P equals A, so that kind of points to the first element in the array. So if you want the second element, you can literally just type A plus 1 and you will get the second element, since the since P will point to the first one, plus 1, it will be the second one. Blank blank says, I don't know, I think the title gives the idea of what this stream was supposed to be, you learning C. I'm actually very happy that you think so, because that was my intention when I composed that title. The gist was that I want the mere title to tell people learn with me. But as many things in life, people have different expectations even before they read the title, so expectations can shift your interpretation no matter how hard you try. Because when you type a short title, you can't really type a long title on YouTube, which is an entire sentence. That's not a good idea. So when it's a short one, the expectations can shift your interpretation. So someone could think that learn C with me means that I will teach you C. But as I said, I'm really happy that you think that the title has managed to explain what I wanted to convey with that short title. Taburetka says, how many streams do you think will it take before you finish the book? Oh, that's fairly easy to say. So I am not saying that this will be I'm not saying that this will be 100% correct, but it comes down to this. Hello world, one stream, variable, second stream, functions, third stream, pointers, fourth stream, I think it was just one stream. Arrays were 2 streams. So we're now at 6. So if no other lesson will be complex in the way that it makes the stream split into 2, that means 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 30, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 40, 41, 42. Okay, so all in all, if we are at at stream 6, I think 42 weeks altogether. But as with everything, there will probably be more streams that were split, so it could be 50. So I guess roughly a year. Okay. I don't believe that I will have any incentive to speed it up, because the fun of this particular stream has no desire to be sped up. Nobody here wants shortcut to the end. It's all about having fun learning. So I think the year, 1 year of the entirety for the book could be an answer to your question. Tony, by the way, yo, welcome to the stream. Is that you? Yes, that is him. That's the Tony, by the way. Blank blank. I imagine if you get into the multi-threading one is going to be a bit complex. Yeah, I don't really think that it's very relevant to be precise in answering that question. You know, how many weeks exactly, but let's round it up to a year, and I think it's going to be a fairly good answer to that question. I mean, for the people who will watch video on demand, they will get a fast run at it. Maybe after everything is finished, I will personally rewatch everything and cut out everything that is talking, like literally right now, and maybe re-upload everything without the crap. But some crap is good, you know, so I don't know what I will do. We will see. Just referring to the array name in isolation is the same as getting a pointer to the first element of the array. We're going to use this extensively in the upcoming examples. But hold on a second. Let me just check the chat. That is not a bad idea, actually, and revisiting previous lesson is also good. I suppose you're talking about revisiting previous lessons in order to cut them for condensed re-upload, right? Yeah, okay. Do you think it would be a better idea to do that in the end after everything is after the book is finished, or do you think it would be a better idea to revisit each lesson before the next one comes along, as in the 6 days after the lesson, and revisit it immediately and cut it? Depends on your time. Well, the time required is the same whether I do it later or immediately. It's just that by doing it immediately, it's small chunks of time regularly versus a shitload of time afterwards, you know. But, you know, the time will be the same. It's more about the question whether it's more beneficial to revisit the lesson sooner while still learning, or if it's more beneficial to revisit the entire book at once. Are you saying rolling release is better than LTS now? I get the joke, but I don't think it's applicable. Really, it's a good attempt at the joke, but I don't feel it. I don't feel the it to be very applicable. I'm actually leaning more to revisiting in a rolling release matter. Actually, let me give myself a small reminder for that. Mm, Taburetka, what terminal do you use? Console from KDE. I'm one of those people who never really terminal emulators are so good that most of them do everything that most people will ever need. So the differences between them are so tiny in when you look at it out of the box that the preferences for the particular terminal comes down to default one doesn't do what I want slash need, and when you step on that mine, then you change it. If the default one does everything that you need, then there is hardly any reason to even want to change it. So when you meet terminal emulator fans out there, like this one is the best, or that one is the best, or this one is the current hype, whatever, so when I used GNOME, I usually used the one that came with GNOME, but in time it seemed like the one called PTYS something, the one that is default now in Fedora, it's not GNOME terminal, but it does come bundled in Fedora as default GNOME terminal. That one is better in some ways, and I appreciate that one when I use GNOME. But as I said, it's now kind of default in GNOME. So there is still no change required if you install Fedora. Iceblade is not happy. Yeah, okay, sorry. Just referring to the array name in isolation is the same as getting a pointer to the first element of the array. We're going to use this extensively in the upcoming examples, but hold on a second. Isn't p an integer pointer, and pointer p gives us 11, same as a of the first example. Actually, yes. Okay. So, who was on this live stream an hour ago will probably see the mistake that I did in the live stream. Exactly this one here. And I don't remember who that was. Someone corrected me that I have made a mistake. And we have dived deeper at that moment. Taburetka was okay. So that was the moment when I made a mistake, and I already said that this book is really good at correcting the mistakes of the user of the book at some point, right? So you have corrected me immediately, Taburetka. But had you not done that immediately, it would only require one page down for the book to correct me. Did I forget to dereference the pointer? No, I didn't forget to dereference the pointer. I have thought as the pointer points to the first element in the array in memory. I thought that even if we want the second element, I thought for some reason that pointer will still point to the first element, but we are asking for the second one out. And Taburetka corrected me that no, we are actually now literally pointing to the second element in the array. So that was my bad. So once again, the sentence in the book says, isn't p an int asterisk, and asterisk p gives us 11. So pointer p gives us 11, same as variable a of the array position 0. Yes, you are starting to get a glimpse of how arrays and pointers are related in C. We will talk about this a lot more in pointers second chapter under array/pointer equivalence. So that was the part which we have already discussed a lot more than it is written here. Thanks to Taburetka, who has not only corrected me, but also inspired me and nudged me to do a couple of exercises to get legit proof of how these things are actually related. So what this book will explain later on in Pointers chapter 2, we have a little bit already dived into. Let's go to the next one. Passing single dimension. That is the part of the whole live stream here, which I really love. It just branches in so many directions, and it's so human, you know. And the books is excellent by no means. But this chat interaction with people who decide to interact makes the entire stream what it actually is. Without you guys in the chat, this stream would be dull and dull. It could still be good, but it would be dull. Let's do an example with a single dimensional array. I'm going to write a couple of functions that we can pass the array to that do different things. Prepare for some mind-blowing function signatures. Okay, so this is a huge program that doesn't fit on the screen at once, but let's read it. Passing as a pointer to the first element. I will copy that into the terminal soon, but let's also type. Yeah, I mean, do you want me to type it? I wanted to kind of copy paste it later, but okay, let's type it immediately. Let's type it immediately and read what's happening. Oh, now it actually fits on the screen. Include passing as a pointer to the first element. Okay, I see the main function is coming later on. So let's see how how this thing builds or builds up. Int asterisk a int len. Okay. For int I equals 0. Okay, we are starting with the counter at 0 as usual, up until we reach the len or len, less than len, and I plus plus in a very standard way as always. And let's print f decimal new line. Okay, and we are printing what we are printing, a square bracket I square bracket times, this is times, right? Like multiplication here, not a pointer. Okay, let's close it. Where do we put the why is that here? Because nano is not that smart. That goes here. Okay, so what's happening here? Let's disassemble this immediately, because before we continue, because apparently we will need to understand the differences between this one and the second one. So void returns nothing, but it kind of calculates something in here. So let's do what's happening here. Let's understand what's happening here. So the function times 2 that returns nothing should error, I think. I didn't read it yet. Let's read it. Integer pointer a, integer len. Okay, so we are printing a with the position I. Okay, so initially we are printing a at its first position, but multiplied by 2. So that's 0 times 2 equals 0. Okay, it's just printing this integer. And it will print the first one, and when the counter increases, then it will not print the second one, but actually the third one, because it will be yeah, it will, okay, it will be the third one, and like multiplied by 2 for the okay, so far so good. It's not doing anything specific just yet, probably until we get to int main. So let's do the second one here. Void so times 2. Yeah, now I understand why it's called times 2. Good. Void times 3. I suspect it will be the same one. Int a and int len. Print f. Once again, a not digit as Iceblade would say, but a decimal new line here, because why not? A I times 3, close it, And what did I skip? Sorry about that. How did I skip that? For int I equals 0, I less than len I plus plus. Okay. What's going on here? Integer a is an array that doesn't have an amount of items or chunks just yet, at least not at this point. So it's literally doing the same thing, but here it's multiplying by 3. Okay, so let's see how this program develops further. Void times 4. Oh crap, how I'm doing that? Int I, no, int a, sorry, int a. I lost my place visually. I'm doing this, sorry. Int a is of 5 elements defined here already. Int len Iceblade is correcting himself. Okay. Sorry, I went with my eyes to the chat and immediately lost my place in here. For int I equals 0, I is less than len I plus plus, literally like always, print f, and we need that decimal once again with a new line, and we are missing that. Okay, good for having the syntax highlighting as always. I can't believe that Linus Torvalds doesn't use syntax highlighting. A of I times 4 close and close. Okay, what is this part supposed to be teaching you? How pointer, arithmetic, and arrays interact? This part is going to teach us something, but the way I do it, it's let's understand each. I have no clue what is this teaching us. Okay, I am learning what this block here is doing, then I'm learning what this block here is doing, and the next thing that I'm going to learn is what this block here is doing, before we even get to the main part of the program, which will then discover or reveal what is happening here. So far we have no clue what is going on. Or as Rutlex says, it is teaching you the ways one can pass arrays to a function. Okay, that's the title. But what the code is doing, I think it's beneficial to read the code each time. So I'm not sure if the if this typing does anything else other than giving me a little bit of muscle memory in the way how you type C code. So kind of a syntax muscle memory. And you should be doing that as well, in my opinion. But reading the code piece by piece, I think, is very beneficial because it's giving you a way to understand what the hell is going on here, right? So even before you get to the main part of the program, I think you really should understand what the hell is this block doing, because once you get to the main program, I am absolutely confident that all shall be revealed. Okay, so it's about passing arrays to functions. Then I'm sure it will get into something about how arrays decay into okay, I'm not even trying to guess, but go ahead and do your thing. I really don't mind. Continue what you're doing in chat. Int a is once again an array of 5 elements, this time compared to previously not having an amount of elements defined. For int print a of I, but multiplied by 4. Okay, so it's pretty much the same with as the last one. It's just that now we have defined this array to have 5 chunks. Okay, for the main part of the program now, int main is teaching you Iceblaze says type asterisk asterisk. I have not heard of. Okay, whatever. Int main void, and I will leave the font size. I moved it so that you can see the entire program. Kai, how do I read your name? Kye. Sorry, I'm not a native English speaker. Kyle. Oh, that should be Kyle. I suppose Kyle learns. Welcome into the stream. Do you know about pointers yet? Yes. So the book that we have been going through has pointed us to the pointers just one lesson previously. So yeah, the answer is yes, but I apologize. I will concentrate on this particular code right now because often I get derailed with chat because I really want to answer chat, but sometimes I have to concentrate on the code. Int main void. Okay. Int x is array of 5, and let's fill that array up with some elements. 11, 22, 33, 44, 55, and that's our array here, times 2 x 5. Okay, let's Kyle, where can I read this book? I'm learning C also. It's BG's Guide to C. Click on the description of this video. It will tell you which book it is. It's a free book you can download, and in my opinion, it's really good at explaining stuff. It's called BEEJ, BG's Guide to C Programming. So that's the book. Okay, so what is this function going to do? Where is any print? We don't have any The prints are inside the previous functions. Sorry. Okay, so times 2 is times 2. What is this doing? It's using the array x which contains these values. Is this an array of 5 integers? Yep, this is literally an array of 5 integers that are defined here, and they are placed into the variable x as integers. And we have a number 5 over here, and we are using this on the function called times 2, which is defined before. Okay, so what is going on here? We are putting this array. Actually, I'm slightly confused what is going on here. I mean, this function is taking two of the inputs. I'm sure that's not the proper expression, but it will do. This first input, the second input. So the first one is taking this x, and the second one is taking number 5 parameters. Okay, parameters. Thank you very much. So number 5 will be put or placed into the integer variable labeled as len. That's very easy to understand. But then x is going to be placed into... okay, so this is a pointer. Okay, so this is a pointer to the array. I'm trying to talk slow for myself, but also for everyone else who appreciates me doing this out loud slowly. So this function is a pointer to the array x. The you should really type, Kyle, asterisk a. It could get you in trouble in C if you type a asterisk. It's better to put the asterisk in front. I'm just saying it will get you in trouble if you... yeah. Okay. Okay, so this is a pointer to this array. Okay, so let's try to understand before we compile it. Let's have expectations of what this block will print, and later we will see if we have been correct. So it is a pointer. It is a pointer to this array, but since it doesn't have anything defined as a position, it is pointing to a first element in the array. So this is 11. This one here is pointing to 11. So once the for loop starts, it will print I. It will print a of I, and sorry, my head is spinning a little bit. I'm trying to not make a mistake. The print has number 11 here of 0. Okay, let's try to. Sorry, I will need a place to type. I'm doing this intentionally slow because that's my jam. It loops through with I++, of course, uses the length of the array, which is 5, and stops the loop, performs the times 2 or whatever on each looped number in the array. I believe I agree, but let's I'm just going to do it my way because I want to type the don't spoil it immediately. Yeah, that's fine. I don't even consider it a spoiler. I want to do it my way, and I don't have any problem with Kyle typing what he typed. But I will still do it my way because in the Kate here I want to type the result of this printf, so that once I compile the program, I will be able to compare my Kate with the program actually ran and see if the result is the same as my expectation. That's the gist of it. Okay, so once again, if this is a pointer to that to that array in the main function, then we will have 11 here. We will have 11 here. Zero is I, so that's the first position. That's the first position of the A. Okay, so we're still at 11 times 2, so that's actually 22. Oh, because of the multiplication. I think we are good. So length is basically 5. Not this 5, this 5 here. Length is 5, so we are printing 5 times. We're going to through the for loop 5 times because of this number over here. So we are now switching to the second loop where I is now 1. If I is now 1, then our pointer is pointing to 22, so that's 44 because of the multiplication. 66, 88, and 110. Sorry, I'm being slow, just trying not to end up being very stupid on the stream. Okay, and the second, sorry, not the second, we haven't even typed the second one. Times 3x5 times 4x5, and we can close the main loop, and the program seems to be finished. Where's my kit? Okay, now sorry, I'm not looking at the chat right now because I'm trying to be focused here. Right, so the next print will be there will not be an empty line in our prints, but that doesn't matter. Actually, sorry. Crap, where did my cat go? Let's do it like the program will do it. Times 4, okay. 4 okay, I starts with 0. It will I starts with 0 here. A is defined integer A. Okay, integer A, you skipped times 3. Oh, sorry, I kind of moved it. Yeah, you're right. For some reason I moved my program. Thank you, Iceblade. Int I is okay. I starts at 0, and A is a sorry, I'm getting slower. Not intentionally. A is a array of undefined amounts of places, but we have that number 5, so we will loop through that array 5 times, and just so it happens that our X array does have 5 elements. So in this case, this seems to be perfectly fine. It will not result in any kind of undefined behavior, I think. Skratit ću koliko mogu. It will not result in any kind of undefined behavior, and it will print times 3. So it seems to be doing the same thing as the previous function. Okay, but it is now 33, the first one, and then 22 times 3 is 66, I guess, and whatever 33 times, okay, that's actually 99, and then we go to 44 times 3 is okay, it's late for me. It's just 44 times 3, and 55 times 3. I really don't have any energy for that. Let's do the C code instead. The next one will start with 0 again. And well, this is literally the same. It's just the fact that here we have defined that this is an array of 5 elements, which it actually is. Thank you for subscribing, Ignacio. Which it is. So we are getting the same thing here, but times 4. So we're starting with 44, and then 88, and then 33 times 4, and then we have 44 times 4, and then we have 55 times 4. So that's our end result, and we save the program and we compile it with whatever the name was. Expected declaration or statement at the end of the input in times 4. Where is my mistake? line 20, oh, line 23. Sorry, let's do the line 23. Oh, I deleted the, okay. That was an accident. That was an accident. I already have written that character, but accidentally I deleted it because I thought I was deleting in Nano. Okay, 22, 44, 66, 88, 110, 33, 66, 99, 132, 165, 44, 88, and it kind of seems like I have mastered this lesson. I hope everyone else did, along with Kyle. The return 0 wasn't necessary. I just accidentally have written the closed curly brace and then I accidentally deleted it. If you rewind the video on demand, you will see that I remember when I deleted it. Iceblade, you wish to know how far behind you are. Iceblade, you will now type the word test, and when you hit enter, I will read it for you so you can measure how long it is. So when you send test, okay, that was, do it again, but with a stopwatch, okay? FFS. Okay. I don't think that I actually don't want to go into that, but I think the live stream should be as fast as possible. Yeah. Okay, so my stream is set to as fast as YouTube can handle. So whichever delay you are getting is the fastest that YouTube can do. There are even slower streams which have extra features, which is bigger resolution and closed captions, as what do you call it in English? There's a different word, subtitles. You can get subtitles if I would switch to even higher latency, but so far this is the fastest as YouTube can go. There is also a chance that you are not actually watching live. Iceblade, below, when you move the mouse on the live stream, is there a live button on the right hand side, right lower corner? Is there a live button that you can click, which will then lit up? If you can click the live button and it then lights up, then it means that you have been watching past and not actually live. You can do that on YouTube, actually. All those methods of listing the array as a parameter in the function are identical. Okay, I mean, we have already went through this by the means of a hands-on exercise. In usage by C regular programmers, the first is the most common by far. So the first one literally just is pointing to the first element in the array, and then afterwards you will get what you need by different means, as shown in the code that we have just done. And in fact, in the latter situation, sorry, I will just read what Rutlex wrote. I wish they added one more variant, void times 5 int len int a len. You can specify the number of elements as if variable if it goes before corresponding array. Note that it changes anything, but it becomes self-documenting. What I'm typing here will end up in chat now. And then you will understand why I was typing this in chat. Okay. We have two more. Yeah, we have two more, and if we continue dissecting it as we had so far, it will take a bit. It will take a bit. Where is my... how long was my stream going? 3.5 hours. You didn't read 662 today? I know I didn't. I will do that now. I was just looking how much more is there so that I can try to decide something. Okay. And in fact, in the latter situation, the compiler doesn't even care what number you pass in, other than it has to be greater than 0. It doesn't enforce anything at all. So why it has to be greater than 0? C11 specification requires it to be greater than 0, but you might see code out there with arrays declared of 0 length at the end of structs, and the GCC is particularly lenient about it unless you compile with pedantic. For those of you who don't know the switch, pedantic means that we want the compiler to be very pedantic about doing exactly as the standard defines. No leniency allowed. This 0 length array was a hackish mechanism for making variable length structures. Unfortunately, it's technically undefined behavior to access such an array, even though it basically worked everywhere. C99 codified a well-defined replacement for it called flexible array members, which we will chat about later. So which one is more lenient? I mean, it says GCC is particularly lenient about it. I guess if you use C11, which is newer than C99, but C95 as an older standard codified a well-defined replacement for it called flexible array members, which we will chat about later. I suspect, since the book didn't mention C23 here, then I suspect there are no changes compared to C11. So I suppose if we don't use pedantic, it will pass if we use 0 here. Okay, let's go back to the end of the lesson. 662. Okay, once again, and in fact, in the latter situation, the compiler doesn't even care about what number you pass in, other than it has to be greater than 0. So I guess that's a good thing to remember. It doesn't enforce you to do that. Now that I have said that, the author of the book says the size of the array in the function declaration actually does matter when you are passing multidimensional arrays into function, but let's come back to that next Sunday. Literally next Sunday. Rutlag says, no, that it meant the array size should be greater than 0, but previously to C99 there wasn't a way to make variable length structs, and so people used 0 length arrays for this purpose. After C99 it is only supported without pedantic. So we are talking about this, right? Rootlex, we are talking about this, or actually this as well. This one is the only one. No, this is no, this is not a 0 length array. Okay, then I got some stuff confused. This one here then. A0 is a 0 length array. A is an array with unspecified number of... Okay. Sorry. Yeah, okay. It's just that we haven't had an example with 0 in this particular exercise. So that slightly confused me, other than it has to be greater than 0. Okay. Blank says there is a thing it will probably get into where it covers what happens later. Absolutely it will. When you put an array as the last element of a struct. I wouldn't worry about that too much right now that it's touching on. Just a side note, Rutlex says, yeah, okay. This has been really involving lesson, similar to the last one. I did one error today. I believe I didn't make any errors the last time, but all of the story with the race is ramping up to be really fun for me. I don't know how it feels for you, but starting with the previous lesson and coming to this one, it's all the same lesson. Actually, it's going to spread into 3 streams, but this entire lesson with arrays intertwined with pointers, I think it's really fun and very engaging. And a part of the reason why I feel it's fun is because I feel that the entire lesson is roughly on the level of my C knowledge where I am currently at. And that's the reason why I feel it's fun, because I am able to track the book. So if this book manages to push my knowledge and my C powers in the same tempo as the lessons progress, then I think the entirety of this book is going to remain fun. Does it make sense what I just said? I really feel that so far this book has prepared me for this lesson very well. And this makes me feel good about understanding what is currently being explained here. What a short stream. A longer one, but I liked it. Expensive stream. Thank you and bye. Okay, bye Golga Katani. Bye new guy Kyle. Thank you for attending. I will... this stream is going to be unpublished when I stop it, because I have to prepare a description. I will do that tomorrow, and when I do that tomorrow, then I will publish it as a video on demand. And then I will publish an announcement on my channel about the next stream, which will start exactly in 1 week, same time as always. So if you are in Central Europe, that's 7 p.m. If you are in New York, that's 7 p.m. minus 6. If you are in any other time zone, you can... but basically, it's 6 p.m. Greenwich, so you can calculate your time zone. Iceblade says also, when on this screen, chat is off screen. Oh, that's a mistake that I did in the beginning of today's stream. And now it's good. Now it's good. In the beginning of this stream, I have resized the chat for that other view, and I didn't even expect it to hurt this one, but it's fine. Good night, Rootlex. Good night, Iceblade. Good night, Golga Katani. Good night, Blank Blank. Good night, Kyle. Good night, Taburetka, thank you for assistance. Good night. Who else was in chat? Tony, by the way. I'm sure he left because he knows a lot more than I do. So, Insane Ostrich, good night. Faceless Commentator, good night. Good night, Alyosha. And Zoran joined the Matrix. Yep. Does this work still? I guess no. Anyways, join the Matrix chat. The link is in the description below, and